Thanks so much for being with us, everyone. Sitting at Statewide Sportsline, rolls on. Tony Caridi along with Coach Greg Hunter. Delighted to be joined on the program now by Concord University's Tommy Bolte. Tommy, good evening to you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure, man. I was just taking a look at your numbers. I've heard about your season that you're putting together. For those that don't know that are jumping in here, currently lead all Division II scorers, 30 points per game, and shooting 50% from the field. So I started to dig into your numbers here, man. I'm going like, okay, let me check this thing out here. Late last year, January, you get into the starting lineup for the first time, 28th of January a year ago, and you don't do well. You go 1 for 9 against Shepherd. And then it starts to crank for you, and it's pretty amazing looking at your numbers. You get 17 against Glenville. You get 8 the next day, and then you went off at the end of last season. You went 20, 19, 23, 26, 29, 16. Big boy numbers, and then you've never looked back. You go from averaging 10 points per game to 30 points per game this season, which leads probably to the question, Tommy, that you've been asked 277 times since the season started. What in the heck happened here? How'd that happen? Guys don't triple their scoring average unless they go from 2 to 6. They don't go from 10 to 30.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it has to do with just some of the work that I put in, and also my teammates and my coaches trusted me and put me in that position to be able to have those type of numbers, really.
Okay, so you put work in. Everyone works. What did you specifically do? What did you think you needed to do to make yourself more productive?
I think I had to get a lot stronger going into my next season, which is my junior season this season. And also I had to get a lot better just working on every aspect of my game. And I put in a lot of time in the summer working every day, 2-3 times a day, and it's paid off for me.
How many shots were you getting up there in the summer?
Probably 500 makes a day, probably around there. 500
makes. So you were 500 makes, so you're taking at least 515 shots.
Yeah, 501 probably. Like that.
Did you have a guy or a person that was working you out, drilling you, or were you doing it self-taught?
I mean, a lot of it in the summer is by myself. Obviously I have some guys that are from my high school that work out with me, but most of the time it's just been by myself late night in the gym.
You're from Chillicothe, Ohio. What's the quality of high school ball out there?
I think it's pretty good. I mean, we play in Division I, which is the highest division in Ohio, and we compete, but there's also some really big schools out there that are pretty good.
Yeah. Are you, when you take that moment and pause, I would think that you would have to be surprised by putting that many points up. For example, what did you average as a senior in high school?
I think I averaged around 23 points a game, something like that.
So most guys don't average as many in college as they do in high school.
Yeah, it's really just a blessing, honestly, to be able to be in this position and put up these type of numbers that I am.
Tommy, you look at your statistics, and you shoot really well from three-point range, but that doesn't seem to be your biggest strength. You can score all over. More than, 20%, less than 20% of your field goals are three-pointers. So you're scoring inside as well as outside.
Yeah, I don't really think I'm a big three-point shooter, but just some games the defense backs off, and I just have to take a few to make them respect him, and they've been going in.
We're talking with Tommy Bolte, Concord University, and he's leading Division II in scoring, 29.9 if you're a stickler for exactness, or 30 points per game. You're doing it while shooting 50% from the field, 4 games this year of 40 or more, best 46 against West Virginia State. And you went over 1,000 points recently in your game against Fairmont State. Give me a take on what that new role, now when other teams know that you're the guy and that you can hurt them, how has that changed in the way that teams defend you, and how have they been defending you?
I'm starting to see a lot more double teams and some traps off the ball screen, just a lot more defenders and help, and that just comes down to I got to pass the ball and trust my teammates to shoot it or get it back to me in the right position.
This year has been kind of an interesting thing, Tommy, in that you don't see guys score a lot of points like this. Trey Young's story, as you know. I mean, he's putting up freak numbers and put up big numbers, kind of like you are as well. That normally hasn't happened in a college basketball season. When you watch, for example, Trey Young, and I'm sure people have made that, hey, this kid's averaging actually more than Trey Young. What do you see when you watch him?
I obviously think he's a great player. He's outstanding. I really see him, and he has great court vision. And he shoots the ball a lot better than I do, especially from deep. And I just try to watch him and take things from his game. Even though he's younger than me, I think he's a great player. I think a lot of people have things to take from his game that can really elevate your own game.
Yeah. You're only a junior, so you have one more to go. So what are the things and how much better can you be?
I think really my goal now is just how many games can we win and how far can we go in the tournament, making the tournament, and just seeing what we can do from that standpoint.
You tasted that, didn't you? You guys, when you were a freshman, you guys won the MEC, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I would imagine that is that's a goal. Obviously, once you get a taste of that, that's certainly what you aspire toward.
You've seen the top end of this conference. You've seen all ends of this conference this year. How good is it?
I believe it's probably the best, if not one of the best, Division II conferences in the country. I mean, you look at the top, obviously West Liberty, they're top 10 nationally, and then Fairmont State, they're national runner-ups last year, and Willing Jesuit, who's always really good. I think it's just like these teams can compete with anybody in the country.
Yeah. What other schools were sniffing you coming out of high school in Chillicothe?
I would, to be honest, not a ton of other schools. I had talked with some of the coaches at Fairmont State, some of the coaches at Urbana, which is also in our conference.
Yeah.
But other than that, I didn't really have a ton of looks.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter at all who's looking at you before. It matters what you do once you get there, and you are certainly doing wonderful things. Listen, man, we congratulate you on what you guys are doing down there, what you've been able to do. We'll be watching. The MEC tournament's coming up here in the not-too-distant future. Again, Metro News will be broadcasting all of those games. So we wish you the best, and congratulations.
Yes, sir. Thank you for having me.
All right, you bet. You take care. There he is, Tommy Bolte. That's a heck of a story, isn't it?
Boy,
you go from 10 to 30.
That's the most amazing aspect of that, right?
Yeah. You remember our buddy Billy Lilly?
Sure.
Billy Lilly, when he was at Glenville, he told me a story when he was playing at Glenville. He told me a similar story. He said there was a guy in the summer, and he said, Billy, he said, I'm not sitting on that bench next year. And he got a jump rope, and he started jumping rope all summer long, and he just played and played and played and played. And he said, I'm going to tell you, the guy made like this unbelievable transformation. Wow. He went from a guy that wasn't getting any burn to like the leading scorer on the team. And it happens, man.
Oh, yeah.
It happens. It's always a good sign. If it isn't instant gratification, you've got an opportunity. If you put yourself in the right spot and you work at the right things, you can be real productive. So, good deal. We congratulate him. All right, our music's on. We're out of time.